was like, thank you, Andrew. I don't know if you saw my comment. Yeah, I'm like, there are like 6 other playgrounds in the.
There you go.
It's not like we're in New York City. You know,
Call the meeting to order, please. Johanna, will you please read the statement of compliance?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press of Atlantic City, Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Please turn off all cell phones.
May we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Maury Blumberg.
Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Becker, Commissioner Amadeo,
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg,
I am here.
Okay, so we have items for discussion. I'm going to ask who? Yes, please.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, because I was first.
Sure. I would be
It's on-
happy to.
Okay.
We ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll start out on item A, which is our dredging project. We had a lot of discussion on that at the last meeting. Just to recap, we've reached a couple milestones here. Stockton University has finished their surveys and studies and their sampling and testing, so that information is being transferred over to my office. We are taking that information and wrapping up the citywide dredging permit documents. They should be submitted into the DEP by the end of this month. And then that will start the review process on the citywide dredging side. We have already submitted our Thailand's application for Shelter Island, which is our alternate disposal site. And we are just starting the permitting process on the Shelter Island project as a DEP permit. So again, parallel tracks on the dredging project versus the Shelter Island, but moving forward on both fronts. So we're making progress there. Like I said, by the end of the month, we should have our permits submitted to get the review process started. Item B, there's really no update here. This is the flood mitigation work that we have planned for this building. We've been waiting on FEMA and the state OEM to cut us loose on the additional funding that they promised for this work. And there's been some back and forth between their office and my office. We've given them all the information that they need to complete their review, and at this point, we're just waiting for them to get back to us with their decision. We follow up typically every other week or so just to touch base. Next couple projects, or the rest of the projects on the engineering list are part of our 2022 capital program. We have a couple that are already going out to bid. So item C is the 2022 curb and gutter program, which is being advertised for bids today. So that's out to bid. We have a bid opening scheduled for that project on the 25th, so that project will be on schedule for construction to start in the fall. And we also have out to bid today the next phase of our beach bulkhead access work at Knight Avenue and Union Avenue, so that is out to bid today as well, with a bid opening also scheduled for August 25th. So we've got those two projects out to bid. The next three items, E, F, and G, are all projects that we have planned down at the Sig Rim Recreational Complex. The Wall of Fame project, for all three projects, we've got the survey work done, the base plans done, and all three are in the engineering design phase. So we'll keep those. That'll probably be the next batch of projects to go out to bid. So we're moving along on those. Item H is our 2022 DOT State Aid Road, which is Winchester Avenue from Douglas to Exeter. So the survey work is also complete on this project. We've got our base plans complete, and the engineering design is in progress on Winchester Avenue. So once we get the engineering complete, we'll be going out to bid on that work. Item I referenced, which is the permitting, the DEP permitting process for Shelter Island restoration, which would serve as an alternate and in several ways preferred disposal site for our citywide dredging project. So the application documents are being prepared for that site. Turning the page to item J, which is the 2022 road program. We've started work on this. The survey work will be starting soon. This project will include Jefferson Avenue from Atlantic Avenue to the beach, Gladstone Avenue from Fulton Avenue to Marshall, and then also a sanitary sewer manhole rehab right out here at the intersection of Washington and Ventnor. This project was also budgeted for the police parking lot, but we've actually moved that work over into the 2021 road program to get that done sooner as a change order. So that work is also being completed. It's being completed under the 2021 road program. Item K is a conceptual design plan, really conceptual design options for Washington Avenue from the beach to the bay. This was a part of the most recent master plan update to do some streetscaping on Washington Avenue, but also to make it more pedestrian-friendly, business-friendly, and to provide that linkage between the beach and the bay. So this is in progress. We're working with the city's grant consultant, Jim Rotella, on this. We did have a pre-application meeting with the NJDOT, which really triggered this process. They have a grant opportunity through the Transportation Set-Aside Program for funding for this type of work. So we are going to develop this concept plan in line with the master plan, and it will be used as the basis for a grant application to be prepared by Mr. Rotella. So that is in progress. Item L is a roof replacement project over at the library. This job will be advertised, or it is out to bid now. The bid opening is currently scheduled for August 11th, which is a week from today. And this will be a complementary project to the HVAC work that's already been awarded. Once the HVAC work is done and the rooftop units are installed, then we'll be in position to replace the roofing system over at the library, so they'll be in good shape at the completion of this project. Item M is our running list of grant applications. This list now includes the 3 grant applications that were submitted, I believe, in June or July, through the NJDOT 2023 state aid program. So that includes Winchester Avenue from Claremont to Douglas, which was our municipal aid application. We also submitted, with assistance from Jim Rotella, a Safe Streets to Transit application for some work on Washington Avenue, which includes curb ramp upgrades at all of the intersections on Washington Avenue, and also includes some work on the Parkway, updated street name signs, and some benches where we have our bus stops. So this was submitted just recently. We typically hear back in the fall on the outcome of these grant applications. And the last application that was recently submitted by Jim Rotella was a discretionary aid application through the DOT to do colored pavement markings in the bike lanes on Atlantic Avenue, only in the portions where the road was recently paved. And then if we're successful with this grant, we would look to continue as we repave more of Atlantic Avenue. The last item on here under miscellaneous is the CRS, the city CRS submission. So we've been assisting Mr. Galantino with this. To summarize, the city had been receiving credit for, or really points. The way the CRS system works is you need a certain amount of points to reach certain levels in their system, and then the lower your rating is, the better you are, and the more of a discount the city's residents and property owners get on their flood insurance. The city and other municipalities were receiving points for adopting the advisory-based flood elevation maps after Sandy. So after Sandy hit, there were some advisory maps that came out that weren't official yet, but towns got credit if you were proactive and adopted those maps. It gave you points in CRS. That credit has expired, so us and other municipalities no longer are receiving those points for that credit. What that has done is that's put us in a deficit of points that we need to make up. Working with Jim's office, all of the required documentation is in the hands of the CRS reviewer. We've submitted enough documentation to possibly get back all those points to keep us where we're at. We should know within the next week or two, depending on the reviewer, if they're going to credit all those points. If they don't, we have a plan B on what we would then need to do to get even more points. So we've got a plan and a backup plan, and now everything is in the hands of the CRS reviewer, and depending on which way they go with it, then we'll pivot one way or the other.
Don't you feel with our compliance, with all the new construction and the house raises, that should help in itself?
Yeah, I mean, and Jim, you can jump in here if you want.
That only maxes out to a certain amount. That
Art?
only maxes out to a certain amount, like 500 points. We originally got almost 1,200 points for adopting the ABFE map.
So would that mean our community flood rating would drop from the 25% reduction we have now
We know 15.
down to 15?
But we have a plan so that that doesn't happen.
Okay.
We're digging in more with the stormwater management plan and the watershed management plan.
So the one thing that we've keyed in on, if we need it, and this really may be something that we want to move forward with, even if we're successful when we hold on to level 5, is there's what's called an emergency alert system plan, which is an actual plan that we would need to put together. But a lot of what is in the plan, we're already doing. It's just not in the format and documented the way that they would want to have it documented to get those points. So in a way, it's low-hanging fruit for us because it wouldn't really necessitate any additional work for anyone. It's just the process of putting the plan together in a way. They're very picky about giving you credit for that type of plan. So if we don't hit our points with what's been submitted, we would pivot to submitting that plan. And the way the timelines work out, as long as we have that plan approved by the end of the year, then there would be no
Change
in the
our
discount that anybody
rate,
would get on
in
their
our rate.
insurance. Yep.
Are we including our height, our new ordinance with the height of our bulkheads?
I
For
think
all new-
all that, is that?
That doesn't count towards the flood rating?
Bulkheads don't count.
Okay, all right,
They
thank
have a
you.
whole manual and it gives you the whole thing.
All right,
spelled
thanks
out.
for answering the
Yep.
questions.
You got
To
it.
Commissioner Amadeus, question on that. Yes, the new construction helps, even if the difference in percentage of the savings on CRS, if you have a new house, your savings versus, your flood insurance is like $500. So your 15 to 35% savings on that is minimal versus the non-compliant homes where it's thousands of dollars. That 15 to 35% makes a bigger difference with the non-compliant homes. So yes, new construction is helping.
Well, true, and thanks for the good work on that.
Yep, yeah, so we're.
We can't lose that 25% discount.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, now we're moving on to the construction project. So we're all caught up on our maintenance bonds. Next one isn't due until November. We've whittled this list down of projects in closeout. There's 3 on the list on this report, but you can see the 2 Atlantic Avenue projects, which were the oldest projects on the list, are going to come off the list. We've received our full reimbursement from the DOT on those jobs. So all we'll have left on this closeout list will be the Benson Avenue water tank project, which will get closed out once we do an anniversary inspection. So we're in real good shape as far as not just getting projects built, but getting them closed out and getting grants reimbursed here to the city. So we're in good shape there. Amherst Avenue Phase 1, there's really no update there. We've been in contact with the contractor. There are still punch list work items that need to be addressed. We touch base with them multiple times per week. I don't have an update as far as when they'll be out there to address some of those items. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I believe we're still holding, I know we paid them for the work performed, but we're still holding liquidated damage charges against the project?
Yes,
And they're a retainer,
yes.
and they don't want to come out to at least get their retainer and close out the job.
I haven't got any indication that they're not going to come out. They just have been, I don't even want to say they've been unresponsive. They just have not scheduled the work yet.
All right.
Item R, is the second phase of Amherst Avenue, which is the South State project. That project is complete. We do also have a little bit of punch list work left there, and we have been working with South State to get that work done. Item S is our renovations over at the municipal building. So this project continues to plug away. We have been working with the contractor on some items that we're going to be adding in to the contract. So that is all getting processed, but there's really no major update on this project at this time. And then turning to page 3, item T is our 2021 road program. This project was broken into 2 phases. We had a phase 1, which was Claremont and Brunswick Court, which was completed and is now just with some punch list work remaining. And the way we set this contract up, we have Mansfield Avenue, which was phase 2, which will start up after the summer. And we've also, as I mentioned, added in as a change order, the police parking lot, which will be also paved in the fall. So this project will be starting back up soon. Item U is the HVAC work over at the library that I referenced. This project's been awarded. We have a contractor. We've ordered the HVAC equipment. It's very long lead time. We're expecting the equipment to be delivered sometime in the fall, at which point it will be installed. And the last item on the list is the water meter replacement program, which I understand there's been a contract awarded for the work to the contractor, and a pre-construction meeting is being scheduled to get that project kicked off. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Okay, moving on. So we have D1, 215 North Nassau Avenue. Jim, can you give us an update on it?
Sure, and Matt can chime in when he feels it's good, to give us some information. We received some complaints about a house being demolitioned inside at night and during the day. Removal of walls, floors, ceiling. I asked Matt to assist me to go over and do a property assessment to see what was inside the house. Tuesday, we got into the building, and we were able to obtain a lot of information. A lot of the walls were removed, wires were exposed. There's open pipes in the backyard. The house has no stairs to the second floor, trash and debris everywhere. What I felt when we finally got the lady out of the house, and she has been now moved to another location, was to board up the property so that the lady can never get access to, or potentially someone else get in there, and the fire department or the police department have to go in and assist to get them out. And if they were in that building and there was smoke, there's no way they could make their way around the building. They'd run into everything. So I'm looking out for the safety of the fire, police, and anybody that may get in the building, plus the individual herself.
Well, my feelings and my opinion on it is, in Margate, I don't like to see a boarded-up building, but in this case, I would support your request for the safety of the general public and to keep people out of it, as long as our two chiefs are in favor of that. I think that's the proper thing to do, and maybe it'll expedite the situation, and maybe they can get a contractor in there to start doing the repairs. The first thing we don't need is young children going into that structure and getting hurt. It's a nuisance at this point, so.
The door's unlocked. I can't lock the door, so anybody can enter the building now. And the boarding up would just be the entrances to the doors, not the windows. The windows can be locked and secured from the inside.
Chief?
Yeah, just to dovetail with what Jim said, I believe what it was, the premise is uninhabitable, and it is unsafe. If someone was to go in there in a low-light situation, there is a good possibility they would get injured. I know from the outside, there is some hoarding issues on top of it, but the inside of the house is uninhabitable. I can't imagine anybody being in there. There was no electric, there was no gas. That was shut off, correct, Jim?
Yes.
So who knows how long somebody's been living in there without even those appliances. So again, on top of it, with the amount of damage that is inside the house as well, I think it is a safety hazard.
I would agree. And Commissioner, would you?
Yeah, I would too, but I have a question for our solicitor. Are we within our legal right to board up the house?
Yeah.
So and what do we need to do that? Just this paperwork from Jimmy?
I would ask Frank, I would do a request to Frank to have the carpenters purchase plywood and screws and board the door up.
I would support that.
And then we would lien the property for the expenses.
So there's a front door and there's a rear door, I imagine.
Side. There's a side
door. So the two doors would be boarded up. Is there any way we can shore up the windows where they can't pry them up or?
Right. We can lock them from the inside.
Okay, so as long as the windows are locked and we do the two doors, and you have a red sticker on the house
Yes,
currently?
correct.
Thank you, Frank. I know I don't have to ask you. I know you're doing it already.
Now, you might want to go a step further with cleaning up the yard.
Sure.
You want to do that at this point, or hold on?
Will that appease the neighbors? Because it is in a neighborhood.
We've never done this before. Frank, if
We
you ever
did
wanted-
Marvin Gardens. Do you remember Marvin Gardens? That one with all the...
The Lovett
Yeah.
structure, yeah.
Yeah, we've done it quite a few times through the years.
just to make it look decent?
Yep. I mean, we've even boarded up houses.
Right, you can.
There's bags of trash there, it's overgrown. I mean, I do think for the neighbors, we probably appreciate it. Is a family member, are they coming in or jumping in to help out on this situation?
There's a mother involved, but the daughter who owns the property is the sole owner of the building.
And she's in another residence, or is,
I don't know the location of her. Maybe Matt does, but I don't.
okay,
She's receiving other services from the county right now.
okay, very good. All right, so I think that issue's covered.
So the idea of cleaning up the property, the stuff that is stuff we could take off the porch and maybe just put in the house or put in the backyard, or would you haul it away, the stuff that's stuff?
Haul it away. There's no room for anything in the house.
Okay.
That would just add to the,
No,
Yeah.
It's
That's
de-
fine.
it's deplorable.
Good, good, good.
I know you took pictures, but I would say take more pictures.
Is that
Sure.
car in the driveway that I see in one of these photos, is that the owner's car?
That's a unregistered car, but the owner would have to give the chief the permission to tow it.
It's allowed to be on private
private
property.
property,
As
yeah.
long, if it's unregistered, it can be on private property, so that the vehicle would stay there.
Okay, thank you. All right,
That's all I have to report.
all right, thank you, Jim.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I ask a question of the solicitor?
Sure.
Do we have to take any action to file a lien on this property? Or how
We
does
will
it-
have to file a lien. We've done this procedure before. We have to give them notice to clean up. But I think in this situation, she's a place where she can't clean it up, or I guess even receive notice, right? Or posted?
We posted the structure and hand-delivered the document to a family member.
Well, can we give it to the family member notice to clean it up and give them, whatever, 48 hours? And then we'll lien it, we'll put the lien on, and then get that trash out of there, and I guess if there's weeds and stuff, whatever,
We'll cut it all down.
cut it down, make it presentable, because I'm sure the neighbors are
Yeah, huh,
not happy.
you can absolutely see.
Yeah, I think you have pictures there, right?
Yep.
And
The
we-
flowers and all
They
that
have
stuff.
some nice flowers.
Yeah, the flowers look beautiful. but
They're
everything
cannons.
around-
They are public and nice, nice flowers.
Leave the flowers. I know I didn't have to tell you that, Frank.
Thank you.
Leave the flowers.
All right, any other questions in reference to Jim's report?
Want to mention lead bait?
Seeing none, we shall move to department heads. I'm going to start with Frank.
Monday, we have a new mechanic coming in. His name is John Mannering. He has 19 years' experience in other municipalities, and we're looking forward to getting him in and getting him used to everything in Margate.
Great news.
Tomorrow night is the lifeguard races, and we help the lifeguards set up their stage and different things. We have the scaffolding ready for them, and just like every other year, we'll be setting a stage up there too with the PA system. The wine tasting at the ball field last week went really well. They added a few more things this year. It was not a problem for us, and everything went real smooth. The past couple of weeks, we've been installing a lot of water and sewers for new properties. We've been doing a lot of asphalt and cement work. We've been quite busy with the new construction. And we've been down on the beach every day, and the beaches are in very good shape, and they look really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody can attest to that. We have the nicest beaches in the state of New Jersey, thanks to the work you guys do.
Thank you.
Jim, do you have anything else? Frank's done. Do you have anything else that you want to touch on?
Just one couple quick things.
Sure.
I appreciate Rich's contesting the increase in state, on the state health benefits. Thank you, Rich. We recently talked to Scott and our city clerk Johanna about amending our rental ordinance about a lead-based paint law, lead law. This law went into effect on July, I think, the 2nd. In 2 years, all the rental properties have to be inspected for lead-based paint. Margate is in the classification as visual inspection only. There's a dust wipe system. There's a dust wipe requirement for certain other municipalities like Ventnor and Egg Harbor City. That's more restrictive. A visual inspection determines if there's any cracking, peeling paint that may be ingested by a small child. There's a 10-minute test that you take on the HUD.gov to become a visual inspector. So the housing department can review that test, get certified, get a certification, and that gives them the authority to look at properties built before 1978 if they have any lead-based paint. We feel we've got this well under control. The realtors are a little bit out trying to figure out what to do because there's a lead-based paint certification that would have to be provided to us through a lead-based inspector that is licensed by the state of New Jersey. They would inspect the property, give us a certification. That certification would be handed in to us, and then it would also have to be on the property that is inspected, and that's good for only 2 years. After 2 years, they have to go back and do it all over again. We're not at that level yet. We feel that a lot of the buildings in Margate past 1978 have been renovated at least once or 2 times in the lifetime of their homes. And most of the houses that are older than that have been removed, and we're getting new homes. Any of the high-rises are out of that jurisdiction. They're considered a multifamily housing, and they are inspected by the state. Anything 3 or more units that are inspected by the state, they're exempt from the lead-based paint law. I think that the housing department and us can handle the new law. Scott's worked in the new ordinance. It's right here underneath the property notice 14 of 2022. If you have any questions on it, I'd be more than happy to fill you guys in. If anybody asks you, call me. I have all the laws, I have all the restrictions, guidelines, everything on my desk.
Sounds good. Thank
That's it.
you. Mr. McLaren, you're up.
Thank you. One brief sad note is Adio Santori passed away last week.
Yep.
Longtime member of the zoning board in Margate.
I'm planning to do a moment of silence in our regular meeting.
Great.
And we can talk about it immediately after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last planning board meeting, we discussed the ordinance changes that were presented to you before and made it through the first reading. The board feels that the third floor decks as written should continue, so we'll reintroduce that at the next meeting. We'll run through the whole gamut again through the consistency review and hopefully for full adoption first meeting in September. There's still a lot of those third floor decks in the queue that we're relying on us passing that. A couple other ordinance changes that we want to talk about, but we want to get that through first. Another issue that's been rearing its head in the last couple of years, but it's really coming to the forefront with the number of pools in the rear yards. Atlantic City Electrics really haven't taken issue with these pools and their proximity to overhead power lines, to the point where they're going to refuse to power up these homes if the pool is within like 21 feet of the power line. So that would eliminate rear yard pools. 2 options. One is to bury the power lines, but what are you going to do with the transformers? Or relocate those utility lines to the streets, and I think that will be an issue on how Margate looks, particularly in the Parkway section, where there's actually a deed ordinance, the deed restriction permitting utility poles on the streets. So we need to discuss that internally at some point. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that it's becoming a problem for every application now.
And it doesn't only include pools. I've heard from the electric company about garage and substructures on the rears of houses that are too close in the right-of-way of where the power lines and poles are, and that restricts the electric company from being able to service and
Correct.
Powers down.
Now, our ordinance never took that into consideration, and some of these garages that are in that easement, which is not shown on any tax map, goes back 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Mosket from Atlantic City Electric shared with me their easement. I think it's a 2-foot easement on either side of the property. To me, that's still not enough room to get a truck back there, and 4 feet on both sides. So it's something, moving the garages and sheds, that's the easy part. It's the pools that's going to be a little bit more difficult. And again, we have to weigh out getting those power lines and utilities on the street, which I don't think we want. The other thing is we get a lot of positive feedback on the cleanliness of construction sites and overall, that's a good thing. I think John Botta's really done a
Yeah,
fantastic job.
I have to mention, I have to thank yourself, Jimmy Galantino, the staff in our construction office for the communications with all our construction people that are in town, all the contractors, and the work that they're doing, and naturally the chief of police because of the curb to curb with the trailers. It's starting to work, especially during the months, during our season, the 10-week season. We need our streets clear for emergency access, and it's starting to work. It's getting a lot better. I forwarded you, and I know that's why you're mentioning it, some emails that I've received
Right.
thanking us for the job that we're all doing.
I've received some calls too, and with much appreciation. And I think even the builders are realizing that makes them look better too. The last topic would be, I sent an email out today. There's been a lot of like sign pollution, and people are putting these stuff on utility poles, traffic signal poles that are just really, it doesn't look good. Something,
We're guilty of that too, the city.
But Roger, just so you're aware, Atlantic City Electric will take the signs off the poles, no matter who puts it on, because we have even tried to utilize some poles, and they take our signs, and we have to make phone calls to get our own city signs back, so.
I made some
it's
phone
one
calls
thing
here,
they're very strict about, because we've had to go out to the yard to pick up our own signs.
So these are like pickleball tournament notifications, they're
Right.
stapling all the poles, and you wouldn't think that pole at Atlantic or Ventnor Avenue in Washington has been there for just this summer. It looks like it's been there for years with all the stickers.
With
on
all
it.
the staples, yeah.
Right. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Roger.
Sure.
Mr. Dennis, you have nothing more to add?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
And our business administrator, Rich Deeney, please give us a report.
As the commissioners know, the tax rate was finally struck by Atlantic County after a rather significant delay. Now that we have that tax rate, we're able to communicate with Edmonds, which have done, and we expect by the end of this week to receive our tax bills in-house, which will allow us to process them and be able to be sent out by the end of next week. As a result of that, by law, taxes are due August 1st. Here it is August 4th. You've already extended the grace period to, I believe, August 25th, and we're asking you by resolution tonight to extend it further to September 16th.
That
gives-
includes the grace period.
That would include the initial grace period as well. If in fact taxes are not paid by 4 o'clock on September 16th, the interest would revert back to August 1st.
Yes.
And while I'm on tax rate, our municipal rate, once again, is flat. As we expected, there's a rounding error, not an error, but a rounding
I think it's
result
$5 a year
that would
on a
cost
$500,000
$500 on a $5 on a $500,000.
Yep.
But basically, it's flat, and it was designed to be flat. Lastly, Jim Rotell's name was mentioned by the engineer before. He does a lot of our grant work, and I do want to mention that he's been working on switching to a better opportunity to be able to have a really good shot at getting grant funds to pay for the remainder of the water meter installations. As was mentioned, we awarded a contract for just the very first preliminary phase last week, but the other phases are significant in cost to provide all new meters throughout the entire community. And we have high hopes on getting a significant grant toward that amount.
Good news.
In excess of $500,000, so.
Great news.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to jump the two chiefs to our CFO to keep consistent with our business administrator. You're up, Lisa.
Just a couple things to dovetail on things that were mentioned. In regards to the taxes, as you know, our quarterly taxes that are due to the county, or it's over, I believe, 5.6 million, ordinarily would be due August 15th, but that has also been extended, thankfully, so we took every measure necessary in order to notify them. So that's taken care of. And also, in regards to the health insurance, I have been in communication with both of our health brokers, and they will be marketing our plan to see if we could realize any potential savings. I'm in the process of preparing the census that is necessary, and a few weeks ago, I sent a letter to State Health Benefits requesting our experience. So just so you know that that's in the works, even though I may not report on it on a regular basis. And hopefully, because of all the pushback from all the municipalities, that proposed increase in the rates will not come to fruition. But I'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay? That's all I have to report
Thank
right
you.
now. Thanks.
Chief Hankinson, you ready?
I am. Just first of all, we continue to move about the summer of more. There's a lot of people in town. It's been a good summer so far, but just a reminder, there are a lot of cars, there's a lot of bikes, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of everything. We do our best, and we've done a very good job this summer of trying to keep traffic moving, parking spots open. It's actually been a pretty good summer so far. Along those lines, I'd like to remind everybody on next Wednesday night, we do our annual Law Day. We have a whole bunch of activities planned out, from demonstrations to bike registrations. It's a great event. We've been doing it for at least 20 years. We've always had a great turnout. I really wish everybody would come out. It's a good night. We'll explain some of the county programs that are available to residents, so it's very good all the way around. Just to a little bit dovetail what Roger said, that in the after hours, especially with a lot of the construction sites, we have taken, I wouldn't say a hard approach, but I even know myself when I'm riding around town at 6 or 7 o'clock to CVS or Castle's, if I notice a trailer on the street, my first phone call now is to the police department, so we note it so we can take care of it the next day. Some of the contractors who might not have gotten noticed, or some of the smaller ones, they might not know. So again, between our coordination with John Vada, we have had weekly meetings, we have sent him reports, so it's actually worked very well. And also, as a resident of Margate, I can see how much better a lot of the sites look, so I know it's working.
It is.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. And to add to what you just said, in one of the emails I communicated to Rich and Roger, one of the gentlemen said, I must have given a 2x4 to Roger to go around to all the contractors to get them straightened out and clean up the sites. So I thought that was pretty good. So we're getting good news and good feedback from that. So good job by all. Thank you, Chief. Chief Adams, you're up.
Thank you, Commissioner. One, I just want to touch base. We're coming to closure on the shared agreement with Atlantic County. We're hoping to, on the commission meeting of the August 18th, have a resolution prepared. And just to give an overview for those that may not understand what I'm talking about, we have a piece of fire apparatus that we utilize very infrequently, but it's important to us to have in certain situations, that we're going to go into a shared local agreement with Atlantic County. They're going to house the apparatus, use it for training, but when we need it or need to put it in service, we have complete and total access for that. This will free up space for our reserve ambulance to be parked indoors, which will lengthen the life and time of that. And it will also free up space from Public Works that's been about 12 years now that they've housed our air cascade trailer in one of their garages. It's going to free up some space from them, and we're going to get that out of there. So hopefully, if everything goes as planned, by the end of the month at the latest, or by the third week in August, we should be able to make this happen. Last night, we assisted the Longport Fire Department with a reported person in the water with our Marine 2, our fire boat. Our crews operated for about an hour on the water, and the other crews, along with the Margate Police Department, checked all of our bayfront dock areas from Coolidge Avenue to the Margate Bridge area in anticipation of trying to locate or find the missing person. I believe that and I think Nanette reported on it, but that search has been called off by the Coast Guard at this point in time, and we'll just see where it goes. And I just want to thank Andrew for inviting us to Wacky Water Wednesday yesterday. I know our guys had a good time, and hopefully the kids enjoyed it just the same. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now our rec director, Andrew Miles, and baby Lucy is well and alive. Thank you.
Yeah, our Baby Lucy Playground is finally open. We have our grand opening this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Our summer camp is wrapping up for our 5-week program. We had over 100 campers a day for the last 5 weeks. The next couple of weeks, we have gymnastics, soccer, basketball, STEAM, and CSI camp coming up. And I wanted to thank Dan and the fire department for coming out to our camp yesterday. The kids had such a great time. I want to thank the police department, who helps us get to the beach every week by directing traffic so the kids can walk down the street. And I want to thank the Public Works Department, who has helped me with like 25 different projects this summer, getting everything between playgrounds and stuff for camp and tennis courts and baseball fields. They've been a huge help. So thank you, everybody, and hope to see everybody on Saturday morning.
Thank you, Andrew. Our clerk, Johanna.
I have nothing to report today.
Well, that's good news then.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. At this time, I will open up for discussion, public comment on any of the items that were just discussed during our department head reports and our engineer's report. And in the next meeting at 4 o'clock, in the first few minutes, when we open up, you can discuss any topic you wish to discuss. But during this meeting, this is our workshop. We will only discuss and answer questions relative to the discussion that we've just had. I'm opening it up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to have anything to say, please stand and state your name and address, please. Seeing no movement, I'll ask to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
At this point, since there's no other business for our workshop, I'll make a motion to close the workshop meeting.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
The next meeting will start promptly at 4 o'clock. Thank you.